Okay, this is episode number 3. The subject is why do you want to be in a relationship?
Hi, everyone. This is Esateys.
And this is Rafael, and welcome back to Relationships Done Different Everyday Strategies for Happiness. So, Esateys, tell me, how was your week this week? What's new?
My week was pretty amazing, but before we get to that, what I would like to ask all of you is give us some feedback also about whether this episode is being done obviously just audio, and we have the availability to do video or audio. So if you have a preference, I would really love to know what that preference is. So please make a comment about that because your voice matters to us and what we're doing can be adjusted so pretty much everybody's happy. So my week was really very cool. I went to this network meeting that was for women only, but there was a guy there. So apparently it's not really just women only. But at any rate, I met some really awesome people. And one of the things that this one person, which happened to be the guy, gave out was a sample of CBD oil, which is hemp oil, which is a part of the marijuana plant, but it doesn't make you high or any of that kind of stuff. I really don't know a whole lot about it, except I know that it's like going like wildfire everywhere, seemingly, in the world. Even some of my nutritional supplement companies that you have to have a license for is now utilizing that and has new products available with that. And apparently it's a very good anti-inflammatory and helps with fatigue and depression and all these other kinds of things. I personally can't take hemp oil, so I've never used it. So that didn't mean I wasn't going to take that sample, but the sample was like 3 ounces. At any rate, so I get home and I think, what am I going to do with this? And as I'm thinking that, I see our little Labradoodle. We've had a Labradoodle for 15 years, and he's about 14 pounds, and has a lot of arthritis, and he's hurting these days, and it's really sad. He's on anti-inflammatories and all these things, but it doesn't really seem to take away his pain. And I've been carrying him up and down steps and doing all the things that I can to make it easier. So when I saw this CBD oil and I saw Tashawn, I thought, I'm going to give him a little dose of this. And I had spoken to the guy that I was thinking that I might do that with him, but could he tell me if that was okay? And it was okay. So the bottom line here is I gave him his first little dose last night, and he actually stopped limping, and it was pretty impressive to me. And this morning he was still he was back to limping again, but he wasn't crying or anything. And then as I was going out to the kitchen to feed we have actually 4 little children, 4-legged children for babies, some people call them. And this is Tashawn, who's 15, and then there's Keikila, who is 12, and she also has really bad arthritis, and she has a heart issue and all these things going on. So I decided to give it to her this morning to see if it helped her arthritis. So the bottom line here is, in one dose, it appears to have been doing a pretty good job, but what do you guys know about this? Have you ever used it? Can you give me some comments or some feedback? Because apparently this is about my counseling today, because I'd like your feedback about what your experience is and if you think it has any value, so I can keep on giving it to my children. So that's a big thing on my list this week. How about you?
It really is, and for me as well, because our pets are they're our children, and Tashawn, the Labradoodle that Esateys was speaking about, I've been with that puppy since he was 6 weeks old, so I am so attached to him, and anything that we can do to make his life better, we're in. You can count us in. And that's all about we talk about all the relationships that we have, and our relationships with our pets are very, very significant. They give so much to us.
I'll tell you, relationship, maybe we should have made this one about relationship with pets, but we'll do another one on that, maybe when we get feedback from you guys. But at any rate, the relationship with our pets is really critical. It is medically proven that pets lower your blood pressure, they create longevity in your own life as well as your pets, and they are so nurturing and so loving, and they do something very special to our heart, and they also do all kinds of other energetic things, which when we do a session, an episode specifically about pets, I'll talk more about that. But relationships are everywhere. I want to remind you that the relationship with a significant other is one thing, which is what we're going to speak about today, but it's a whole nother part of our life when we recognize that we have relationship with our pets, we have relationship with our money, with our body, and with our bosses and our children and the environment. Everything is relationship. So that's just a little reminder. So you start putting relationship as a very, very high focus in your life and start to evaluate how you be with all the different relationships that you have. And pretty soon you're going to start to recognize where some of them are really strong and awesome and comfortable and safe, and others, not so much. And when you recognize the ones that aren't so safe, then that's where you want to start to do your work. But the general information that we always give here is going to work with any relationship, regardless of what that's about. And when it becomes specific, then there's more specific things that we can help you with. So again, okay, so you're going to spend the rest of your day just writing to us because we'd like feedback about that. What relationship do you feel the most insecure or the most uncomfortable or most conflicted in? And when you give us that feedback in the comment section, then we can address those things personally because I'll say it again, we're here for you. So do we want to get in today's topic? What is today's topic? I know it's something about relationships.
I'm going to tell you in 1 second. It has to do with relationships.
Okay.
What a surprise. With regard to what Esateys just said, ask us questions, not just comments, but questions as well, and we'll address them on a future episode as well. So today, we're going to be speaking about why do you want to be in a relationship in the first place. We do a relationship meetup here in Vancouver, Washington, called Relationships 911, and we had someone who was asking questions that led to this whole discussion about why you want to be in a relationship. And we thought it was really, really important to address it because if we're looking for something in a relationship that is outside of us, it's going to present some issues. So,
and I'll tell you what, 99.999% of people are looking for a relationship for something, to fulfill something within themselves, and they look outside. So when you're thinking about relationship, even if you're in a relationship, look at what's in it for you. What are you looking for? What do you feel is missing in your life that you need a partner for? Now, I'm big on relationships. I've called myself, I'm a relationship person. I pretty much have always been in relationship with a significant other, and I have been alone as well for periods of time, but I always found that I wanted to and enjoyed being in relationship first. So the thing that when I'm working with someone, and this person who was at the meetup, I've actually had some interactions with her before, and the truth is that it's important for you to know, why do you want to be in a relationship? So now, for those of you that are already in relationship, listen to the things that we're saying because they're all completely, totally, exactly applicable to you. Because even if you're in your relationship, you can say, why do I want to be in this relationship? And it's okay to question things in life, because when you do, what occurs is that you start to see how you can kick it up a notch. You can make your relationship more awesome if you're clear about what your expectations are and what you think you quote unquote need from relationship. Because need is going to be the first telltale sign that your relationship is probably going to end up in trouble somewhere along the line. So I could just keep on chatting. Can I finish the rest of this, or would
Yeah,
you
no,
like
go
to say
ahead.
something?
Go ahead. I
'Cause
was
I'm
just.
occasionally, you all, I just sit here, close my eyes, and all these things come to me. But so I just want to give a second portion to this.
And sometimes when her eyes are closed, I'm sitting here jumping up and down
Yeah.
with my hands up in
Flagging
the air.
at
Give me
me.
a second. Give me a second.
Yeah. Wait. Okay. So the last word that I really want to underline that I was just speaking about is need. So when you are in a relationship or you're looking for a relationship and you ask yourself the question, why do I want to be in a relationship? And you look inside yourself, start writing down. It's just a really great exercise. Get a pen and a paper. You could even do it now if you wanted. You can pause this. And you write down, what is it that you think a relationship is going to give you? In other words, what do you feel like you need? What's missing in your life? And none of them are right or wrong or good or bad. It's very important to realize this. You don't have to feel like guilty because you want a relationship. The truth is that most everyone wants a relationship of some sort. And when you write down what it is that you feel that you need, what you're going to find out is that many times, or most of the time, you're looking for someone to make you feel more whole. You're looking for someone that's maybe going to support you financially. You're looking for someone who is going to give you a sense of feeling good about yourself. You might be looking for someone to share your economics with because it's too hard to do on your own. It doesn't matter what it is, write it down.
And the most important thing really is not what they are, or not to judge those things that you're becoming aware of, but just to know that they're there, and that will help you be more fluid and more open to new ideas.
And that's a really, really good point. So when you write this down, what you can then go back and look at and say, okay, I want to feel, well, companionship. People frequently say, well, I want somebody to be with. I want somebody to go to the movie with. I want somebody to eat with, all of that kind of stuff. And that's an honest human need. We are tribal by nature. That means that we naturally, innately want to be in a place where we are sharing ourselves and our lives with other people. So that's, again, I'm going to underline what he just said, is there's no right or wrong to this. This is not good or bad. It's merely a matter of awareness. Remember, we always speak about, like on every call here or every episode, we talk about how we are doing what it is that we're doing because we know that there is something for us to become more aware about. We're getting to know ourselves. These episodes that we do are self-development exercises. They are awareness gleaning experience. It's to become aware and awake so you know what you're doing, feeling, thinking, saying, and you recognize that you have the ability to shift that in any way that will make your life more awesome than you could ever dream or imagine. But as long as you think that you're a victim of your thoughts and a victim of your relationship and a victim of everything else, then what occurs is that you feel, what do you think? A victim. And a victim usually doesn't feel good. A victim feels like the world is happening without their permission. They feel that things are not going the way they want. They feel that other people control them. All of these things which lead to a sense of unhappiness. We're all about being happy. We're all about really having fun. We're about having a deep understanding and clarity about who we are and what we want. But we're also about helping you recognize that you have the power. You have the awareness. So as you look at your list, what would be very powerful for you to do is notice what's there. Are the things that you have listed there because you are trying to have a need fulfilled to feel companionship, to feel like you're with somebody? That's cool. And then what about feeling safe? because a lot of people do not feel safe in the world today. So they want to feel safe. They want a relationship so they can feel safe. Well, this one can be tricky because to feel safe in relationship can have one of two demeanors or one or of two different ways of looking at it. One is, okay, I've got somebody who lives in my house, so, if a burglar comes, I'm pretty okay, or not. And the other kind of safety is feeling like it's okay for you to be whom it is that you truly are. In other words, you can communicate openly and clearly and directly and bluntly about what's on your mind. Well, if you want to be safe in a relationship, then you would like to be with somebody who really accepts you for whom it is that you are. But guess what? That person cannot do that for you. If you do not feel accepting and loving of yourself, your partner or whomever it is that you're with will mirror back to you the parts of you that you don't think are so awesome. Remember when we have spoken about mirroring in other episodes? I'll just give you a brief reminder. Relationships are actually primarily for personal growth. And mirroring is one of the ways that we get to grow so greatly. Because we can't see inside ourselves the way that we would ideally like to, or we can't see our face unless we look in a mirror, we don't really even have a clue what we look like. So a person in our lives will mirror back to us, just like a mirror on the wall, what we have going on. Now take a breath, because I know that you see some pretty unfun things in other people that you think, there is no way I'm like that. No chance, Lance. But let me tell you, there is a lot of things that we don't realize that we do. And depending upon your philosophy, it could be something that's in your DNA that has shown up that you've been carrying along with you for some period of time. So that means that if you're with somebody and you're expecting them to give you something like really awesome and take away something from within yourself because you don't think they are that way, that's an illusion. That's going to really bum you out, because after the first little yippee period is over, have you ever noticed how people seem to be so yucky? I mean, they don't seem like friendly anymore, and they're not as loving and kind and all that kind of stuff. And so when you understand, and this is important, understand the mirroring process, and then you will start to see how relationship is so powerful. Rafael and I have been through this a little bit since we've been together a really long time. We have mirrored
just
things.
a little.
Are you trying to interrupt me? So just this morning, do you want to give him
I was just going to say to tell the same thing.
Yeah, go tell them about what happened just this morning.
So this morning, I come into the bathroom. We have two sinks, and Esateys left the dog bowl in my sink as she was getting ready to get her day going. And it was kind of like, to me, it was like, okay, she's leaving, giving me something to do that she could just as easily, once she had it in her hand, have done. So I said to her, why do you keep leaving that in my sink?
And he didn't say it as friendly as he could have.
I did. But anyway, so and honestly, it was a little bit of a trigger, because I figure if you have it in your hand already, why do that? But anyway, so I said that, and we talked a little about it, and that was it. And then a few minutes later, Esateys came back. Actually, I was in the shower when this happened, and tell him what you said, because it's really it's so true. And it's well, just tell him and I'll come back with
okay. So when he came back at me with that, he's taking a shower, I'm washing my face, and all of a sudden I just started smiling and laughing to myself, because what I saw so clearly was that he got triggered because he saw me leave something there for him to do, kind of like the perception was
a honeydew.
Well, okay, you call it a honeydew. I call it it doesn't matter. So I said, what I think is so hysterical about this is when you leave the dishes in the sink, he eats breakfast or lunch, and the dishwasher's empty, okay? It's empty. And he'll take his plates and he puts them in the sink. And he expects me to go clean them up and put them in the dishwasher. And so that comes up for me with a little bit of feeling like, do you think I'm your maid? Or, what is the deal here? And I've said something to him many times, and he, just looks at me. And so the point is that I said, so look at this. This is a most perfect example. You're triggered because I put the dog bowl in your sink, and I feel the same way when you leave your dirty dishes in the sink, because you expect me to just automatically do them when it would take you not even 2 nanoseconds, because the dishwasher is directly next to the sink. Open the door, put the dish in.
That's pretty complicated stuff.
Yeah, it is. It could be complicated, and I won't make a funny little remark about that. So the bottom line here is that this is a perfect example of mirroring. And I will tell you that it takes some decision, skill set, confidence, willingness, and a humbleness to be able to start seeing all the little games that we play inside of ourselves and with each other. So just look at your life right now and think for yourself about where you might do things. Make it like a passion. Become like a detective, like a hound dog, looking for things in your life. When you see them in somebody else, you search inside yourself and see where that or something like that is happening. Do you have something?
I do. So what's interesting about what she just said, and I wanted to say earlier but just never got a chance, is it's the awareness thing. Once we're aware of it, we're aware of something like this thing, my trigger, her trigger, then we can just automatically shift or change if we choose to. And for me, what happened is, this is not the first time Esateys has mentioned the thing about the dishes. And while I'm not 100% perfect, because I always rationalize I'm in a rush, blah, 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 but what I have done is anytime I come in and I see the dishwasher full, I just undo it. And I've actually started doing things in recognition of that awareness that this is my stuff just as much as it is hers. And that's really good, because now I'm giving in the relationship, and now I'm not expecting someone to be doing something for me. And what I've found is that giving in the relationship, those small little tiny things, are really, really important to build safety, trust, and making the other person feel loved. So without the awareness, I don't think I would have gotten to that.
And I really do acknowledge you like times a godzillion, because he's made like this radical shift over the last month or so that has been so significant. And I notice all the things that you do that you didn't used to do. And the things that you do, you don't do them with an attitude or anything. It's just like you really are contributing to the relationship. Whoever needs some support in that moment, you just do it. You don't get over there and say, well, that's his job or that's her job or whatever. You do what it is that you do. And how's this related to why do you want to be in a relationship? Because it's important to recognize that being in relationship is a two-way street. Being in relationship means that you're going to have to kick it up, not one notch, but like 100 notches within yourself, because you're going to have an opportunity to see where you play the game. Excuse me, you play the game with yourself of all the little hidden agendas that you have of the way you think your life ought to be. And you expect other people to just be that way. And your own personal insecurities or triggers are going to show up in relationship. So if you're clear that you would like to be in relationship because it's going to give you an opportunity to really see more of yourself and to really help you grow and become more aware and become more loving and more caring and more giving of yourself first. See, Raphael, you just said something that was really important. You said that you feel better. You're contributing. You're doing things now that helps you feel better. And he's giving to the relationship, but the bottom line is he's giving to the relationship because ultimately it makes him feel better. And the other thing that it does is it helps open up the energy between us, because the more he gives, then it's like, oh my gosh, then the more I want to give. And so it makes it like you want to start working that way with each other. And that is one of the tremendous values and the tremendous growth opportunities in relationship.
And just to be really clear, this is a small little thing. I mean, neither of us are particularly charged, except when we do get charged. But but the point is it's those little things that build up and create big things, create big walls. So that's one aspect. And the other thing is, I just have gotten that if I want to really, maybe it's selfish, I don't know, but I feel the more I give, the more I get. So, and then I feel good, just like Esateys was saying. So why not?
Well, it is very, very true, because it is the way the universal law works, that the more energy you put on something, the more it grows. So the more energy you put on contributing and giving, the more you are going to have that be returned. I'd like to go back to the first point that you made, which was very powerful. You said that these are little things. Well, little things, as he was saying, build up to bigger things. But let me tell you that of all the people that I coach and the people that I interact with at retreats, they tell me that this has been going on for a really long time. That means that because we have not been willing to tell the truth at the beginning, or maybe we really didn't even know what the truth was at the beginning, but all these littles make a big. So it is like putting another brick to build the wall, another brick. Something like this happens, the dog pan goes into the sink and another brick goes up. If you don't have the awareness of what you personally are creating, then what happens is you start blaming the other person on a continuous basis, and then by the end of who knows whatever time period it is, you go, why am I even with this person? He doesn't put the toothpaste lid on. He doesn't put his dishes in the dishwasher. His clothes are laying all around. Whatever it may be for you. He whines about this. He yells at me about that. He doesn't, Or same thing in regard to the she part. She does this or does that. But the bottom line is we say these things internally under our voice, but when we don't speak with clean, authentic communication, we are speaking about it to ourselves. On some part of ourselves, we think we then have communicated it, which has only been to ourselves, not to the other person. And yet that communication is a very negative communication, and it puts another brick in the wall and another brick in the wall and another brick in the wall until you get to a place where there's a couple that I have just been coaching, and their relationship is so toxic. There's just virtually, seemingly no way that they're going to be able to really get to a place of feeling the love with each other, because they've gone 20, 30 years, something like this, not speaking the truth and not being really authentic with themselves and with each other. And because of that, they believe that what they believe is true about the other person. And then it gets really dangerous to be able to try to recover a relationship. So, Rafael, when you were single and you were looking to be in relationship, what was it that you were looking for? And this is before you knew relationships that were for self-growth and all the fun things that we've learned. But what is it that you were looking for?
Well, first I just want to say, before you and before learning and being involved with and really getting this at a very deep level, I had no idea what relationships were about, other than having sex and getting what I needed and what I thought I wanted. it's amazing. I had just didn't know what I didn't know on a big time. And I think that's the biggest piece in why we always talk about awareness. When we don't know what we don't know and don't know it, I always love to use that last part. We're lost. We're absolutely lost. And the truth is, unfortunately, many people are like that until they're not. So to answer your question, I wanted to be loved. I mean, you know, in all of the work that I've done, I see the parts of my my core that have been damaged or hurt, or the self-esteem level is so low that you know, that's what I was looking for, I think.
Okay. And I would say that 99.9% of people, that's one of their ingredients. If you did your list a little while ago, or if you're going to do it when this podcast is over, then I encourage you to write that down, because a desire to be loved is core in every single one of us. We all want to feel loved and lovable. It's a core issue of the human nature. And unless you can acknowledge that, you will be searching and searching and searching and searching on how to get loved. But here's the spoiler. Is that what they say when they do it? You know, here's the spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Okay, spoiler alert is that the relationship can help you feel great, but unless you are also willing to accept that the relationship can also make you feel otherwise, until it doesn't, then you are going to be disappointed in relationship. Because if you think you're enrolling someone so they can make your day happy every day, and you expect that they're never going to have a rough moment, or you expect that they're never going to project on you, or you expect that they're never going to be irritated at you, and on and on and on, then you are walking into a minefield, because it doesn't happen that way. And so we're realists, not to take all the fun and romanticism out of relationship, because it's there. And the truth is, the more you know about the things we're speaking about, and the more self-awareness you have, wow, the more awesome and the more fun your relationship can be. And that's a very, very important thing. It's about love of self. Your number one relationship is always with self. And I will probably say this in every episode more than once, because once you really get that your real relationship and the real desires that you have are within yourself, and can be found within yourself, and need to be found within yourself first, then you're so full that you augment your life by drawing somebody to you that you can share through overflow rather than through need.
Wow. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we are going to be right back, because I have one question that I received an email about, and I'm going to ask Esateys to give us some clarity. So we're going to ask E. Okay, so E, I received this email the other day, and it said, Esateys, how has your perception about relationships changed over the years?
Do we have another hour or so? Okay, I'm going to give the Reader's Digest version of that. My perception has changed by many of the things that we've actually spoken about today. When I was looking for a relationship back when I was 20 or in my teens and thinking about that, I was looking for somebody that I could go out and play with, do stuff with. I was looking for somebody to have sex with. I was looking for somebody that liked to do the same things that I like to do, so we could share in things. I was looking for someone who made me feel important, pretty, whatever the case may be. I was looking for someone who was educated, very intelligent, and that would support me in expanding in my own personal goals and intelligence. I was looking for somebody who was that either had money or was educated enough and had a goal to have money, and things of that nature. I had not one clue that what I really wanted was a relationship to help me grow and see myself so I could find joy at my own core level. Therefore, I I now say I went looking for love in all the wrong places because I was trying to find somebody who looked a certain way, acted a certain way, would be a certain way, and repeatedly, and I do mean repeatedly, I found myself not finding that person. And because of that, what I did is become very depressed, actually, because I thought there is nobody in the world that's ever going to, quote unquote, get me or whatever it is I thought I needed. And then as I started going on a very very deep, a much deeper spiritual journey, if you will, and started looking more profoundly at humans and the human condition. And I learned about myself, and I learned how people think and how they be and how they respond and how they react, and what they really want versus what they think they want. I mean, I've spent so many years, at least 40 years, literally searching for the answers of who am I and what am I doing here. And with that, I've learned that relationships are what I said earlier. They are a personal growth adventure. They are the ability to see and pursue, to find, see, and pursue the greatness in other people. And when I see that and I'm reflecting that back to myself, then I have the ability to see that in myself at a higher level than ever. And that's where the true joy, the true companionship, the true life that you love to live is augmented and shared with someone else.
So I was just thinking, if someone's sitting here listening to this podcast and has no real background or awareness of any of much of the things that were said, they can relate to what are the, why you wanted to be in a relationship, the things that I've said. So what one thing would you tell them, how would you tell them to start? How would you tell them to start to look at and to perceive and see relationships through a different, more unique filter that was more in line with them?
I would tell them, first of all, to listen to this podcast again, but I would, but I would also tell them to start with their own self-awareness. We actually have a program called AQDQ, which means awareness quotient and desire quotient. And what it helps you do is learn how to be more aware, more present. The more aware and the more present you are about what you think, what you feel, what you say, what you do, how you react versus how you respond, the more you know yourself, the more powerful you will be able to be in relationship. And so I would start with me. I would start with awareness. I'd be aware of what it felt like when I brushed my teeth in the morning. I'd be aware of my toes inside my shoes. I would be aware of my feet hitting the ground. I would be aware of when I feel like there's a little feather tickling me, which is probably a hair. I would be aware of what other people are thinking, feeling, saying, doing, and I would observe them without judgment, just as I would observe myself without judgment. Without putting yourself as this is good and this is bad, you can really very neutrally learn about yourself and others very rapidly. And I spent a lot of years doing this, and I still do this. Increasing your awareness within yourself is the number one most profound first step that you can take to have an opening occur to better understand the rest of the things that we've been speaking about.
Great, that's awesome. Awareness, awareness, awareness.
Yes, so do you want to tell them what our question for the week is?
And we're getting now to the last part of our show, which is living in the world of possibility. And the question for today is, what if I didn't need a relationship?
I love that one. What if I didn't need a relationship? what that means is that when you're in a relationship without the quote unquote need, then you're in a relationship that's really going to be awesome. And if you're insistent upon using the word need, then what you can say is, I'm so grateful I am in a relationship so that I can personally grow. Because when you really get that piece, then you're going to enjoy relationship a lot more. You won't be blaming and you won't be victimizing and things of that nature. So I encourage you to say, I don't need a relationship. You can also say, I don't need a relationship. I choose a relationship. And that you can feel how that empowers you when you say that, because needy always is a lower vibration, if you will. It's a less powerful, assertive word. And when you come from the other direction, it's very, very strong, and it will change everything for you.
So basically, this question is really to elicit the awareness that will start the process of understanding yourself.
That's accurate.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. We really had fun. I had a lot of fun doing this.
Me too. I think I was a little chatty, but I just feel so passionate about this. It's so exciting and so important to me that I speak about what it is that I know, and maybe one person, two people, 2,000, 200 million people will have a different kind of relationship in life if they start utilizing these principles that we've spoken about. And that's my contribution to the world. That's my desire.
As we leave you, I just wanted to recommend that for those of you who are in a relationship and have to get your partner, your spouse, your family, anyone with whom you're in a relationship and want to improve that, to get them to listen to these podcasts. And I think that would be a really, really helpful thing. That's our show for today. Thanks for being with us. Please leave us comments. Please tell us what you'd like to hear, and things that really interested you, really struck home. And let's start a conversation so we can be here for you guys.
And that is a true statement. So get your little computer thing going, or your whatever, and start giving us. There's lots of things that we would love to have you give us some information about, some feedback, because we care about you. Have the most awesome week of your life so far.
Take care.